What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, CamATL, and welcome back to another NFL final look video with your boy. As you guys know, early on in the week, we put a first look lineup together. We kind of do a gut call early in the week. As news comes out, things might possibly change. So I come back end of the week on Fridays and do a final look video, break down position by position. So this video is normally about 30 minutes long or so sit back, relax, and let's get straight to it. Greenlightdfs.com to join the squad. Greenlightbets.com to join the squad with the betting side of things. Game bets, if you're in a state that can bet on games, greenlightbets.com. We have a massive college football parlay that we're going to be rolling out for tomorrow. So I'll be sending that out to all my NFL bets package people later on tonight. We're also playing college football. Today's slate for college football and tomorrow's main slate for college football as well, leading into Sunday's slate for NFL. So let's get straight into this. I'm going to try to keep it as short and sweet as I can. We're going to go position by position and talk about our options and the guys that we have interest in, and then we'll go from there. All right? So drop a like down below, comment anything in the comments section to enter your name into that $50 giveaway I do every single week on this channel. Make sure you like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and let's get straight into it, y'all. All right, so starting off at quarterback this week, there are many options that I am interested in. As you can see, Dak Prescott is the highest projected option at 6'9" on my optimizer. This is the Greenlight optimizer, by the way. It comes free with any NFL packages that you get. If you get an NBA package, you also get free access to the NBA optimizer. MLB package, you get free access to the MLB optimizer. So the Greenlight optimizer is a free add-on to any packages that you get at the site. Let's go ahead and start off at quarterback, where there are many options this week that I could see having great games. There are many ways to go, and I've got about a core of guys that I'm going to talk about here. Let's start off with Dak Prescott going against the Giants. All right, Dak is at home going against the New York Giants. They gave up over 24 to Tyler Heineke week 2. They gave up over 20 to Teddy Bridgewater week 1. They've done fairly well the last couple weeks. Matt Ryan 16, Jameis Winston 13, but Dak Prescott isn't Jameis Winston or Matt Ryan. All right, he's pretty damn solid at home. He should be able to move the ball pretty easily here against this Giants defense. He's only 6'9", so he's definitely an option that I am willing to take. And he is a guy that I've had in multiple builds so far, just because Dallas is the highest projected total as well by Vegas. So Vegas is seeing Dallas putting on a clinic. I also can agree with that. I like the weapons that Dak also has to pair with him if you're stacking Dallas. They're one of the easier teams to stack a majority of the time because you can play Dak and then pair him up with any of his receivers, Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, even Dalton Schultz at tight end, whatever you plan to do. So he's got plenty of weapons you can pair him with. Another guy I want to talk about is Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins at 6'5" is a solid option here against Detroit, in my opinion. Detroit is a bad defense. They gave up almost 27 to Aaron Rodgers. They did really good against the rookie last week, Justin Fields. So one of these days, Fields is going to start playing better, all right? Mark my words. But either way, Kirk Cousins is at home against a bad Detroit defense. This is a Detroit defense that Kirk Cousins shredded last season. 20 at home against Detroit week 9, and then 37 in Detroit week 17 last year. Kirk Cousins is just a solid, safe option, in my opinion, this week at 6'5", and he's another quarterback that has solid receiving weapons to make it easy for you to get a stack going on that end. But if you're doing a Minnesota stack, you have to make a decision on what Detroit player you want to run it back on. Majority of the time, guys, if you decide you want to stack Dallas, let's say you choose you want to stack Dallas, right? You want to play three Dallas players. You need to, in that case, play a Giant on the other end. Okay, that's just is what it is. It's simple DFS 101. You need to run it back. So if you play Dak paired up with Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, you need to run it back with Evan Ingram or somebody, or Saquon Barkley or something of that matter on the other end. All right, same thing with Kirk Cousins. If you play Kirk Cousins paired up with Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, or whatever you decide to do there, you need to run it back with a Detroit receiver or DeAndre Swift or something like that. All right. Kyler Murray is always a solid option week in, week out. His lowest performance, DFS performance this year has been 22. You are paying a premium for him. You are paying $8K. I haven't really cared to get up that high because you also have another running quarterback, Daniel Jones, who's in a fantastic spot in my opinion here. Daniel Jones has been doing a ton on the ground this year. He has looked great. And what did Dallas struggle with last week? Sam Darnold, of all people, rushing. Okay? This is a Dallas defense that gave up over 32 to Tom Brady. They gave up over 25 to Jalen Hurts. They gave up over 36 to Sam Darnold last week. And a lot of this situation is because Dallas's offense is so good it forces the other side to really do a lot. The other quarterback on the other team to do a lot. Yes, in turn they create turnovers and stuff, Tavon Diggs and all that stuff. Like, he has been solid. All right, Diggs has been really, really solid on that other side, and I don't necessarily like picking on Diggs at all. But because of the fact that the opposite quarterback is having to do so much, that in turn is turning into some good fantasy points just off pure volume. Daniel Jones is a guy that can do way more on his feet than Sam Darnold did. And this is a spot where I think his floor is solid just off his rushing ability. And then with Saquon Barkley coming around, that's going to open up the pass a lot more. They're going to have to, come in and try to focus on Saquon Barkley. That's going to open the pass up for Daniel Jones as well. Daniel Jones, 22, 29, 16, and 30. His lowest fantasy production was 16 against Atlanta, which is incredibly surprising. But I expect another 25 or so plus performance here against Dallas's defense that has given up a lot of points to quarterbacks so far this year. So Daniel Jones is a solid option. And if you go Daniel Jones, I like the pairing of Evan Ingram a lot. I like the run back of Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb. This is a game I have interest in because Giants are underdogs. And like I said, they're going to have to throw a lot here. And as you can see, a lot of quarterbacks have shined because of that. And this is a great spot for him, plain and simple. So he's a guy I've really had a good bit of exposure to at 6K. Let's talk Jacoby Brissette. I've already talked about Jacoby Brissette in the first look lineup. Something tells me, man, my gut is strong on grabbing some Miami here against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's secondary is beat down. Carlton Davis, I believe, just went on the IR. Their secondary is beat down. So Jacoby Brissette should be able to, move the sticks here. Should be able to get you 20 or more here. And this is a solid spot because I love Leonard Fournette already in Tampa Bay. This is a solid spot to also get a stat going here. Pairing Brissette up with like we did in the first look lineup. Pairing Brissette up with one of his receivers and then running it back with Fournette on the other end is a solid strategy as well. Let's see what else. Let's talk about the rookie making his first start. We have Trey Lance. All right, so it looks like he may get his first start on Sunday. Trey Lance is a guy who can do a lot of damage on his feet, man. He got 20 last week against Seattle, being down a lot. He got 41 rushing yards, which is something we can expect to see out of him. He got 2 touchdowns. All right. This is a guy that I am excited about here. I'm excited about Trey Lance here against Arizona because Trey Lance is they're going against an amazing Arizona squad. They're probably going to be trailing a lot, and he's going to have to do a ton to keep them competitive in this game. So Trey Lance at 5'7" is also a solid option. It's a tough decision when it comes to whether you go Trey Lance at 5'7" or if you go ahead and just pay 300 more on a guy who's got more experience at 6K in a dome. You know what I mean? It's not sure how you decide to go, but either way, they're both fine options. And those are my main guys that I'm interested in this week. There's nobody else that I've really strongly considered, and there's no reason for me to waste too much time continuing to just talk about them. Let's talk about one more guy. Let's talk about Mac Jones and how good he looked last week against Tampa Bay. At 5'3", Mac Jones looked great last week. Plain and simple, you got to give it to him. He looked solid last week. He looked composed in the pocket. He's going against a bad Houston defense. I could see Mac Jones finally hitting that 20-point mark on Draftkings points, and at 5'3", he's a solid option as well for New England. All right, let's switch over to running back real quick. All right, so at the running back position, let me go ahead and get that set up. All right, there you go. Okay, so at the running back spot, first thing I want to talk about is the Joe Mixon situation. Joe Mixon has not practiced the entire week. We're going to have to wait and see. There is no news on Friday practice yet as I'm recording this. If he once again misses practice, he's probably going to miss this game, and that's going to put Samaje Perine in play. All right. I have Perine. What do I got Perine at? I got Perine at 12.35 right now, which makes him solid value. Let me see if he's up there at the top of points per dollar damn near. Let me sort. If it will. I guess it doesn't want to sort right now. But either way, yeah, Perine at 3.1 point per salary is going to be one of the highest point per salary players on the slate. At running back, Samaje Perine's a solid option here, y'all. I mean, last year, Week 16 against Houston, he had 13 carries, 95 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns, as well as 4 targets, 4 catches. He's a guy that can get involved in the passing game, which might be very important here going against Green Bay, where they probably will trail majority of the time. Samaje Perine is a solid option, and I definitely want some exposure to him in some way as well. I think he's a solid option here against Green Bay. Derrick Henry, I don't need to talk about this too much. This dude, week in, week out, is going to be in play. If you have the money, play Derrick Henry. He is 9K. You're paying a good bit of money for him, and I do absolutely love guys like Leonard Fournette at 5'2". Fournette's one of my favorite options at running back this week because he's only 5'2". He's going to get the bulk of the carries. He's going against a Miami defense that gave up over 26 to Peyton Barber. I mean, this dude is the guy this week. I'm really liking Leonard Fournette at 5'2", and I definitely have involvement in him. Ezekiel Elliott has practiced limited Thursday. He got a day off Wednesday due to tightness going on in his knee. Keep an eye on that. If they do decide to limit him or keep him out, obviously Pollard is going to be a fantastic play as well. What is Pollard's price? Tony Pollard's 5'6", so they have him priced up as if he could possibly start. I mean, that price is a little high for Pollard, so I'm not really fucking with that. Let's talk Damian Williams. Unless Zeke is out, then I will be interested. Damian Williams. So, we have our boy David Montgomery is going to be missing about 4 to 6 weeks or something like that. Damian Williams is a solid running back. He got 8 carries, 55 yards, and a touchdown last week against Detroit. It was a great matchup. Now he gets another great matchup against Las Vegas that just gave up over 32 to Austin Eckler, not over 19 to Najee Harris, over 18 to Tyson Williams. This is a great spot here for Damian Williams. He's another solid spend down option at running back for this week. And that's one thing I've noticed as my research has gone on this week is that there's some really, really solid running backs under 6K this week that feel pretty damn good. Obviously, any of these spend-up guys could end up busting outside of Derrick Henry. He's damn near fucking locked every single time. Dalvin Cook is once again not practicing, so Damian Williams is in play at 5'6". Let's talk Dalvin Cook. Once again not practicing. If he misses, Madison, as always, is going to be in play. At 5'5", he's locked against Detroit. If Dalvin Cook misses, he's going to be locked, okay? Cook intends to play through a sprained ankle Sunday versus the Lions. So that's his take on it. We'll have to see what they end up doing. I mean, it's a tough situation. With Dalvin Cook playing through a sprained ankle, I'd rather just spend $600 more and go Derrick Henry at that point than risk him playing Dalvin Cook and him not staying in the whole game or being limited. If Dalvin Cook was out, I pretty much at this point would rather them just rule him out. That way we can play Madison confidently and not have to, not play any of them. You know what I mean? So that's a tough situation. We can't really play Dalvin or Madison until we get at least like some definitive news like Dalvin's missing. If Dalvin plays, you can't really play Dalvin unless you're playing GPPs. If you want to play Dalvin, and you know what I mean, then that's fine. But in cash games, you can't really risk Dalvin dealing with some issues, injury issues, and risk him not really getting the carries that we're used to him getting. He only got 9 carries last week, y'all, so he's severely limited, and you can't really get involved in that Minnesota running game in that case. All right. So who else? Let's talk about Aaron Jones. We have so much going on in the running game. A lot of running backs banged up this week. Aaron Jones was limited again on Thursday. Let's see. Looks like he kind of did the same thing last week and he ended up playing. So expect Aaron Jones to play. He ended up getting 51 carries, 48 rushing yards, 4 targets in the pass game, 3 catches against Pittsburgh. This matchup against Cincinnati is a great one. I wish he wasn't banged up at all. I'd be interested a little bit in him, but yeah, it's a tough situation there. Once again, he's almost 8K. I'd rather just go Derrick Henry, who I know isn't hurt and is a very safe option in cash. Let's talk James Robinson, who is a guy that I definitely am interested in. James Robinson is going against Tennessee here. With DJ Chark out, you got to expect James Robinson is going to get some more run here. I really, really like this spot for him against Tennessee. Tennessee has done okay versus the run, but James Robinson has looked really, really, really solid this year, man, especially the last couple games. 25-20 the last 2 games. This is a solid spot for James. Expect him to get involved in the passing game a little more with Chark out. stuff like that. Chenault also at the receiver is also a bump for Jacksonville. Who else do we want to talk about? Let me see if anybody else pops up in my brain. If DeAndre Swift ends up missing, Jamal Williams will be a huge play. Running back is a spot that you want to keep a close eye on this week because there's a lot going on here. You even have Chase Edmonds, who is still not practicing. He's been a non-participant. If he misses, James Conner is going to be a fantastic play against San Francisco. You just got a lot going on at running back, y'all. So keep an eye on running back position. But Samaje Perine, as of right now, is my favorite value at bare min 4K, with Joe Mixon looking like he's leaning towards missing than playing. But we'll see what happens there. Let's switch over to wide receiver. All right, so at wide receiver, we have at the top of my list, it just kind of depends. You guys know every time we talk about this, it kind of depends on what you're deciding to do at quarterback. If you go Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson would probably be my favorite straight up receiver of the entire slate this week. He's got an amazing matchup against Detroit. Deebo Samuel dropped almost 36 against this team. This is a great spot for Justin Jefferson at home in Minnesota. Jefferson's lowest fantasy production this year has been 12 week 1. Other than that, 18, 29, and 20. Him and Kirk Cousins is getting that, they're getting locked back in. He's had a touchdown in the last 3 games straight, as well as averaging about 10 targets per game. Justin Jefferson's been balling. 7-7. He's a fine option. Marvin Jones Jr. is interesting here with no Chark. Marvin Jones Jr. is a solid option as well. This is a matchup against Janoris Jenkins where Corey Davis gave up over 24 Draftkings points. 26 to DeAndre Hopkins. That's Hopkins, though. I'm not too worried. The lowest fantasy production that Tennessee has given up, wide receiver facing Janoris Jenkins, is 11.3. And that was to DK Metcalf, which is pretty crazy. Michael Pittman even got more than DK Metcalf, over 13 fantasy points. So Marvin Jones Jr. is a solid option with DJ Chark out. Let's see. What else do we have here? We have DJ Moore, who is a target monster. He's getting so many targets, but he's 7.5. He's so close to Justin Jefferson now. It's getting to the point where his price is matching his production. He has been absolutely dominating, but this is a Philly defense that held Ayuk to 1.6, CeeDee Lamb to 9.5, Hardman to 6.1 last week, but Hardman, that's irrelevant. That doesn't even matter. This is DJ Moore. All right, this is a dude who's getting targeted over 10 times per game. He's heavily involved in this on this team. But here's the deal. That also takes DJ Moore down a bit. It's looking like Christian McCaffrey is going to be back. And Christian McCaffrey is a big targeted guy on this offense. So expect that to take away from DJ Moore's production. And with the pairing on the fact that he's up to 7.5, I'm off of DJ Moore a little bit. In GPPs, if you want to play DJ and hope the ownership drops, then that's fine. But outside of that, I'm not too interested. Laviska Shenault, no DJ Chark. This dude is going to be heavier involved, definitely. I'm expecting another about 8 targets or so in this one against Tennessee. Tyler Lockett dropped almost 35 against this team. I can see Jacksonville being down here against Tennessee, and it being a solid spot here for Laviska Shenault at 4.8. So his price is really, really good. Who else do I want to? Let's talk about Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb are both in play because Dak is in play, plain and simple. All right, Amari Cooper looked pretty solid last week. I mean, his day was kind of saved by that touchdown, and I'm kind of pissed he even got that touchdown because I faded him because he was dealing with his rib injuries, and I didn't feel confident in it, and I knew he was going to be high owned, and I was like, you know what, this is a spot I'm willing to fade. He's hurt, he's banged up, he hasn't been getting the targets. I'm willing to fade it, and his lucky ass got in the end zone with that barely tiptoeing his way into that damn end zone. That kind of pissed me off because he only got 3 targets. You know what I mean? If one of them wouldn't have been a touchdown, he would have busted severely, and he would have sucked. Oh, well, we still cashed. It is what it is. We've smashed the last 2 weeks, so I'm not going to dwell on it. But either way, that was a fantastic fade by myself. He ended up getting 15, but it was because of that lucky save-his-life touchdown that he got. That saved a ton of people. Playing a guy who ended up being chalky with a rib injury, which was pretty stupid for people to play him that heavily. It just goes to show that a lot of people don't really do much research. They just go off of what these sites give as projections, and they just roll with it blindly and don't do any work. So it's pretty easy for people like me to take advantage of spots like this because I'm able to tell who's super chalky by the end of the week, and I'm able to realize, like, okay, this guy's super chalky, but there's not a ton of reason behind this, so it's a good spot to fade off of it and, take my chances with him busting like I feel like he's going to do and have an easy cash week. So that's what it's become in DFS, unfortunately. There's a lot of providers in this industry that are just kind of going off projections and just optimizing and bullshit like that, not doing much research. So it's very easy for people like me to take advantage and jump over their stupid groups who don't know what they're doing and cash a lot easier. You know what I mean? As long as that bad chalk does bad. Now, if the bad chalk ends up doing good, then it sucks. But at the end of the day, bad chalk is never something you need to play. You know what I mean? If there's a guy who's high chalk and you don't understand why, fade it. Who cares? Fade it, because if he busts like he possibly could, you're easily cash. So don't fear that shit. A lot of times high owned guys are high owned because people are just following the masses and stupid and don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean? It's a good spot to take advantage of. And I love that there's so many dumbass providers who are convincing people that they're great that actually are not good, and it's having little groups that we're able to jump over and cash a lot easier. Let's talk about, who else should we talk about here? Who else pops up here? We talked about Antonio Brown. Keep an eye on that situation. We got to see what that matchup's going to be. I'm not sure if they're going to if he's going to face a lot of Howard or not. At this point, I can look into it and see if I can figure that out real quick. While I'm live, let me figure that out real quick. See what it's looking like for matchup. All right, so Antonio Brown, the thing is I don't want this dude if he's getting shadowed by Xavier Howard. Okay, plain and simple. I don't want him if that's the case. So what I'm thinking here is majority of the time he probably is going to see Xavier Howard. All right, Xavier Howard, majority of the time will be on the right side of the field, which is going to match up with Antonio Brown. So Xavier Howard most likely is going to see majority of Antonio. So that does bring Antonio Brown down. But where Xavier Howard is going to be on Antonio Brown, that's going to open up some things for Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. We'll see what happens. I don't expect any type of shadow situation here. I think it's just Xavier's going to majority see Antonio because they happen to line up on the same side majority of the time. I do expect Trayvon Diggs to shadow Kenny Golladay, which in turn should open up Kadarius Toney, the rookie in the slot, or John Ross on the outside as well against Anthony Brown. John Ross is a sneaky pairing up with Daniel Jones if you go that route as well. John Ross is 3'4". He's got some real burners on him. This dude is fast. He could catch a long bomb for sure, and he's got the better matchup here with Trayvon Diggs shadowing Kenny Golladay. John Ross should be opened up against Anthony Brown, the guy who's really gotten burned on this Dallas secondary. So, and we saw how good Trayvon Diggs is last week, man. I mean, that dude is solid. The only time DJ Moore did anything was when Trayvon Diggs was not on him. You know what I mean? Like literally, it was pretty crazy to see. I mean, he had like 6 targets against Trayvon Diggs or something, and Diggs only allowed like 2 catches in that span. Like that's great. Anyways, let's see. Any other wide receiver matches that really stick out to me? So first and foremost, let's talk about Chester Rogers, who is interesting matchup wise. Chester Rogers for Tennessee gets the privilege of running majority of his routes in the slot, which means he's going to face Trey Herndon in the slot for Jacksonville, which means great things. Trey Herndon has been just literally targeted. Teams who face Jacksonville, they target Trey Herndon on purpose. He's getting targeted 41% of the routes he's covering. So they know he can't really guard anybody, and Chester Rogers is in a great spot. He got burned in this last game. I actually think he's only played in 1 game, though, this year, so that's a little bit of a thing, but he got burned by the slot last time he started. So Trey Herndon is a guy that you could take advantage of. Let's see. Jalen Reagor for Philly against C.J. Henderson if Henderson is in. He's been giving up a lot of fantasy points. Bobby Price for Detroit. It's a great matchup for Adam Thielen, because Bobby Price has been struggling. So especially if you have Kirk Cousins. Damn, I cannot spell. There you go. Adam Thielen at 6'6". It has a solid matchup here as well individually. Jonathan Jones for New England has struggled, so Houston slot receiver Danny Amendola might be good if he's in there. He's not getting a ton of targets. Brandon Cooks is the guy eating up most of the targets, but with Jalen Mills being on Brandon Cooks majority of the time this week, I think that Danny Amendola, Chris Conley could shine here in their better matchups here against New England. Brashad Breeland still has been getting dominated. Cephas, I could see Cephas getting in the end zone this week. Outside of that, I mean, Emmanuel Sanders for Buffalo against Travarius Ward is a good matchup. DeAndre Hopkins against Mosley is a good matchup. None of these guys are going to be able to hang with Hopkins. So if you end up going Trey Lance and pairing Trey Lance up with Debo or something, running it back with DeAndre Hopkins makes a ton of sense. All right. And that's about it for wide receiver. Let's move on to tight end. All right. So at the tight end spot, normally I like to spend down if I can. Evan Ingram's really shining to me this week because, like I said, I like the Detroit side a lot. And New York is just banged up right now, man. They're missing Shepard. They're missing some guys in that receiving core that Shepard was getting good targets. Now they got to find where to put that out. Kenny Galladay is going to be shadowed by Trayvon Diggs majority of the time. You know what I mean? So now, what does that leave? That leaves some John Ross and unknown guys, or Evan Ingram, who they're comfortable with and has been around. And, Daniel Jones, is going to look his way often. Evan Ingram's in a good matchup here in a dome against Dallas, and especially if you pair Daniel Jones with Evan Ingram, that's fine. I could see people going Daniel Jones paired up with Evan Ingram, running it back with Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, or running it back with Ezekiel Elliott if he's not limited, or whatever's going on there. So I like the spot for Evan Ingram. Dalton Schultz has been shining. His price went up to 4.4. I really like Mike Gesicki. I think he's going to see heavy targets against Tampa Bay this week, being down majority of that game. Jared Cook at 3.6 should shine against Cleveland. That's about it. Obviously, if you have the money, go ahead and go the studs. Go Waller, go Kittle, whatever you want to do. But I like this area right here. Evan Ingram, Mike Gesicki are the two guys I really like here. All right? Defenses. You guys know me by now. I like to punt it. Why not? I mean, you got the Raiders at 2-9 going against the rookie quarterback in Justin Fields. Now, one day Justin Fields will shine and get things together because he is a athletic monster. He's quick. He can do a lot on his feet. He's not doing a ton of running right now, which he needs to do to open himself up in the passing game. But he will figure it out eventually. The Raiders' defense is solid. I expect the Raiders' defense to do solid here, but keep in mind in the back of your head that Justin Fields will have a good game soon. All right, plain and simple. Vikings defense really sticks out to me here at 3K. I really like the Vikings here going against Detroit. Amazing matchup here for them. I expect them to be up. Jared Goff to make some mistakes trying to catch up. So I really like them at home in their dome. It's a great spot there. Let's see. Texans maybe against Mac Jones. Mac Jones looked like he got it together against Tampa Bay last week, but at 2-3, I mean, you're really just punting there. Cowboys against the Giants, you could consider it. They've been solid and consistent. Chargers against Cleveland, maybe. But yeah, Raiders, Vikings are my two favorite defenses. Steelers against Denver, I could see them doing okay. Panthers against Philly, maybe I could see that. But yeah, I'm not really into spending up this week. I'm really trying to go Raiders, Vikings. Really, those are my two that I'm really loving, both of those guys. So those are the two spots I really love for defense, and that's about it, y'all. Hopefully I was able to answer all the questions you were wondering coming into this slate. I might go live tomorrow night to answer any final questions and stuff like that. Just make sure you're subscribed to the channel, have notifications turned on, the little bell icon next to subscribe, so it lets you know when I do go live to talk this slate for the final time, if I do go live in general. But thank you guys for joining me. GreenlightDFS.com. Let's get it. Let's get our third week in a row, baby. I'm out. Peace.